All right. So something I didn't mention in the last video is there's before and after. I did mention it, but I didn't show you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this from before to after. Save it and refresh, and it becomes it goes into play um, after the content. So in this instance, it is it still displayed relative? No, it's just position absolute. Let me have a look here. So this is absolute, but this has full width. So we haven't defined any, top, right, style. So let's go top 0 pixels and then right 0 pixels. And hold on one sec. This has to come left a bit, I think. Is it the header? Left 0 pixels. There we go. And then we can see that that's on the top right, but it is listed after the content. So generally, you're going to use either or, before or after pseudo elements, unless you need both. So if you need both for something, and this is going to be relevant, we're going to design a simple personal website, and I'm going to be talking a little more about concepts, theory for design, and just a few different things there. And I'm going to make something that looks terrible, actually, but I'm going to try and make it look like a good terrible. And that's within the next few videos, we'll be jumping into that. But in this video, what I want to talk about is z-index. So what z-index is it's a way to manipulate or control the depth of a web page. So you can use top, right, left, and bottom, or the margins to position something in 2 dimensions on the page. So I'm going to change this rule to left. I'm going to set it to 40 pixels. And let's change the color from the text so we can see what happens. So as of right now, it is on top of that. I'm going to set this to 50 pixels. There we go. So it is overlaying the text, as you can see. We cannot see through it. We could make it transparent if we wanted, but then that's not really what we're talking about. So what we need to do is assign a z-index. So the page itself defaults to a z-index of -1. So if we set the z-index of this to 1, it comes out on top, as it does naturally if you define the element after another element. But aside from that, what we're going to do is set it to 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the h1 element here, and I'm going to change that z-index to 1, or 4. Now, nothing happened here, and that's because in order for z-index to work, you can't be using a relatively positioned element, which the h1 is by default. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the position of this also to absolute. Now that has caused an issue with the main header because the main header was stretching to fit the site title. It wasn't told to be a certain height or width on its own. So let's go ahead and apply a height here of 80 pixels, I think it was. There we go. And that's done. So what we can do with this specifically is, as you see, we've set the z-index of that to 4. If I remove that rule, it goes back to -1 or 0. And if I, reactivate that rule, it goes back into place. So this is set to 4, which means it's going to be on top of something with a z-index of 2 or 3. But if this gains a z-index of 6, that goes back on top. So it's layers. It's the layer number that you're working with. Set this back to 2. And again, it only works on fixed or absolute positioned items. So if I change the position of this to fixed, there we go, scroll down there, and I'm going to change the after position to fixed. And you'll see when I change this that changing it to a fixed position instead of absolute, it still retains the z-index capabilities, but if I change it to relative and then try and change the z-index, oh, it does. Sorry, yes. It does work with relative positioned items, but not the default relative positioned items. So if I remove that and then set z-index to 50, it's not going to work. Neither is top, left, or position, because it doesn't have a valid position. So I guess the default state or the default position set on items is relative. It works just like relative. But when you specify relative, you can control top, left, z-index, and stuff like that.